Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. How's everyone doing this morning?
Woo!
Good
Great!
morning.
Happy
Yeah,
Saturday!
great. Morning.
All right. Well, we've got people from different time zones, and I can just speak for Emily and I here and a number of others in Michigan that it is still quite dark here this time of the year at 8 a.m. Saturday morning, but we are all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. It's the end of the month of October, and boy, what an exciting time of the year. Beautiful time of the year, particularly here in Michigan with all the colors going through. So we, as always, for those that are new to the Voices of Health Point, this is a 1 hour time that many of us like-minded individuals that are coaches or clients of the Health Point program gather together, and we have a live session from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those that aren't able to join live or choose not to, this always gets uploaded onto the YouTube channel called Voices of Health Point. So you can always catch episodes there. What we typically do is known docket items, that is any topics or discussions that anybody kind of has queued up that they want to kind of roll through in the beginning. And we go through that, and then we just kind of open it up to the round robin, kind of the tapestry of everyone involved in the program. And that's where it's just really fun because it's everybody, having their different perspectives and ideas and thoughts, and we just have a real fun time. So this morning, I'm going to have a docket item that, first of all, I want to tell where I get my inspiration. A lot of times I get inspired, through the week from different sources. This one is being inspired. First of all, the title is called Your Health Choices Impact More Than Just You, What Dr. Weston A. Price, Pottinger's Cats, and the Dutch Famine Teach Us About Generational Health. And this was inspired by orange dot number 36. So those that are in the Health Point app, that's the orange dot number 36 by Dr. Patty Reynolds, an amazing individual in and of himself, but he speaks about Pottinger's Cats in there. And that inspired me to do this segment on that. And it was also inspired for those that were on Thursday mornings, Walk and Talk, 9 a.m. And Network 21's Casey Pitts said, just a throwaway comment, she said, your health choices impact more than just you. That was when she was kind of interviewing Ewan out in California, who had lost 30 pounds. And it was a kind of a throwaway comment by Casey, but it really impacted me, and I did some more work on that. So that's all to say that's going to be my docket item. We've got Carol. We were joking earlier in the preamble that, boy, we all have these different docket items. I love how Carol always helps us, and that's why she's such a great leader, helps us with the here and now and sometimes the practical and pragmatic. And she's got a number of docket items. She's got it pays to be a customer. We're talking in the Health Point context. Organize and calendarize. Love that. And then picking different yogurts. Hey, I love the again, very practical action, pragmatic nature of that. So Carol, looking forward to that. And then we've got David Munoz that's got a topic on proteins that are bad for you. Hey, can't wait for that. I have a suspicion that has something to do with food marketing. We're all being hit by the different food marketing. All right, let me get to my docket item so I can open it up to others, which is what I'm here for, is to hear from others. But let me unpack my docket item again. The title of it is Your Health Choices Impact More Than Just You, What Dr. Weston Price, Pottinger's Cats, and the Dutch Famine Teach Us About Generational Health. In the early 20th century, a handful of curious physicians began uncovering truths about nutrition that science is only now fully explaining. Long before we had terms like epigenetics or nutrigenomics, they observed through vastly different circumstances that what we eat doesn't just shape how we feel today. It can also echo across generations. One of these pioneers was Dr. Francis Marion Pottenger Jr., a California physician treating tuberculosis patients in the 1930s. His interest wasn't purely therapeutic, not genetic, but his laboratory cats led him to one of the most revealing health discoveries of his time. While producing adrenal extracts for his patients, Pottenger noticed that some cats thrived while others declined. The only difference was diet. The healthy cats were fed raw milk and meat, while the unhealthy ones ate cooked, heat-processed food. What began as a simple observation became a 10-year study of over 900 cats. The results were dramatic. The raw-fed cats remained strong, fertile, and calm through generations, while the cooked food cats deteriorated. They developed allergies, fragile bones, and reproductive issues. By the third generation, they could no longer reproduce. Even after returning to a raw diet, recovery took multiple generations, suggesting deep biological change. Pottenger didn't know it, but he was witnessing what we now call epigenetics, the process by which environment and nutrition influence gene expression without altering the DNA sequence itself. His cats revealed how poor diet could silence or distort the body's biological instructions and how restoring real nutrition could gradually reset them. Around the same time, another researcher was drawing similar conclusions from a very different angle. Dr. Weston A. Price, a dentist from Cleveland, set out to understand why tooth decay and jaw deformities had become epidemic in modern societies. He spent the 1930s traveling the globe, studying Swiss villagers, Scottish Islanders, Inuit, Native Americans, Africans, and Polynesians to find populations still eating traditional whole food diets. What he found was stunningly consistent. People eating natural, unprocessed foods had almost no cavities, broad dental arches, strong bone structure, and remarkable overall vitality. Those who adopted refined flour, sugar, and processed oils, often within a single generation, developed dental decay, narrower faces, and declining health. Price concluded that modern food processing was eroding human biology itself, and that nutrient density of indigenous diets rich in minerals and fat-soluble vitamins A, D, and K2 was essential for proper development. Like Pottenger, Price saw degeneration unfold in real time. Neither spoke in terms of, quote, gene expression, but both documented how nutrition could strengthen or weaken the body's biological foundations and how the effects were passed down through future generations. Just a quick caveat on that note there about gene expression. That didn't happen until decades later. The DNA had not been discovered yet at these guys' time. So they didn't even know that. Just a few years later, another tragic, quote unquote, experiment would prove the same principle in humans. During the Dutch hunger winter of 1944 through 1945, a Nazi blockade starved parts of the Netherlands, reducing food rations to as little as 400 calories a day. Decades later, researchers studied those conceived during the famine. The findings were shocking. These individuals, though born with normal DNA, had altered gene expression patterns that lasted a lifetime. They suffered higher rates of obesity, heart disease, and diabetes as adults, especially if famine exposure occurred early in pregnancy. Scientists later pinpointed specific epigenetic changes in genes like IGF-2, which regulates growth and metabolism. The famine had literally written new instructions onto the genome, proof that the nutritional environment in the womb could shape lifelong health. Even more remarkably, these effects were still detectable 60 years later. Across these three stories, the observations of Price, the experiments of Pottenger, and the long shadow of the Dutch hunger winter, a single truth emerges. Nutrition is information. Food doesn't just fuel the body, it reprograms it. It tells our cells how to build, repair, and even reproduce. For Health Point coaches and clients, these lessons are more relevant than ever. Modern ultra-processed foods, stripped of fiber, enzymes, and phytonutrients, mirror the cooked food diets that led to the decline in Pottenger's cats and the nutrient-poor conditions that produce disease in industrialized nations. When we guide someone towards whole foods and plant-based Nutrilite supplements grown on certified organic farms, we're not just improving their macros or micronutrient balance. We're helping restore the body's cellular language of health. Pottenger and Price's work shows that degeneration doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly, generation by generation. The Dutch hunger winter reminds us that the reverse is also true. Recovery and regeneration are possible, and the positive effects of real nourishment can ripple forward just as powerfully. So when we tell clients that, quote, your health choices impact more than just you, which is what Casey said Thursday morning, it's not just poetic, it's biological fact. The foods we choose today don't just change how we feel this week. They influence how our genes behave, how our children develop, and how future generations will thrive. Nearly a century after these early pioneers, their message has become the foundation of modern metabolic health. Degeneration is not destiny. With solid nutrition, we can write a different biological story, one of energy, resilience, and longevity, proving that regeneration is always possible when we feed the body as nature intended. Okay, that's my docket item, guys. A little bit longer than normal, but again, I was really inspired. You know, you hear sometimes on the walk-in talks that Network 21 puts on throughout the week, the Monday and Thursday, for someone to, you know, give a shout out on what their favorite audio is, their favorite Orange Dot audio. And we often hear Louis Carrillo's A Man with a Dream, right? And that's certainly probably one of my favorites for sure. Certainly from just an inspirational story and just fun and hilarious. I mean, you can't beat Louis Carrillo's A Man with a Dream. But from a science and nutrition, for me, I would give a shout out to Orange Dot number 36, which is Dr. Patty Reynolds. And you know, he unpacks in his story about, you know, understanding at that conference that he was at about Pottenger's cat and the effects on genetics. And then like I said, I was inspired by Casey Pitts on Thursday morning as well. So any thoughts or comments anybody has as we move through the docket items here? And people are muted if you're.
Yeah, Eric, I got that. I was listening to that very one yesterday, and he was talking about something that I had come across, and so I was familiar with what he was talking about. He mentioned the Journal of Mutation by Ames, and this was a number of years ago. But in that report that he was talking about, they said that if we do not have enough micronutrients in our diet, then our DNA mimics radiation damage, even if you haven't been irradiated. He talked about that yesterday. I don't know if you remember that or not. But that was one thing about what Double X was certified by. One of the claims, protecting our DNA, because of the amount of micronutrients we have in that. And it repairs the DNA and protects it from further damage. And that was a very thing he was referring back to. If you don't have enough of the micronutrients, DNA damage. So that was cool.
Wow.
Anyhow, back to you.
Thanks, Steve, because although I listened to that recently, and I've listened to it more than once, that, as you say, the claim, you know, within the Double X, and you know, those claims don't happen easily. If they're going to put something out as a claim, that's got to be rooted in a lot of science and rigor. And then to, you know, understand from, you said it's in the Journal of Mutations, is that what it is?
Yeah, the Journal of Mutation Research is where that information came from. And Yeah, I just thought that was very apropos because that was one of the 7 different things that NSF certified with double X, protecting your DNA. And he was talking about that.
Wow. This is big stuff, guys,
Yeah.
so I just, increasingly, I know we're probably, most of us, here, we're preaching to the choir, for most of us here that, um, understand the value of these micronutrients, these supplements, this nutrition. But when you're talking about things at the DNA level, that is something that should really give all of us a lot of backbone, a lot of strength, a lot of posture when we're talking with people. And again, if they're coming from empty calories, food-like substances that they're buying at a gas station or convenience store, what that is signaling to their body versus what nutrient dense, macronutrient, nutrient dense foods, and then nutrient dense supplementation. It's just, I mean, the delta between those two extremes is so strong. It's really incredible. So yeah, definitely some emboldened posture. We don't want to blow. And for any of you new customers that are here on this walk and talk, we apologize if we come on, strong and kind of part your hair with some of these kind of assertions. But this is important stuff. If you have your health, you have your dreams. If you don't have your health, you have only one dream, and that is to get your health back. So this is important stuff. Anybody else? Any thoughts, commentary? I'm going to say it, David. I'm going to say, what am I going to say? Bueller? Oh, Pam,
Yeah.
sorry.
What's that?
For those that have never seen the movie, it's kind of an inside joke that David and I often have when I'm calling out and seeing if anybody has any comments, and we say, Bueller, Bueller. That comes from a classic movie, which I guess we can't even name movies anymore, but we'll just say a classic movie that is a very funny line in a school system where the teacher is calling out Bueller. But Pam, more importantly, to you.
I was just gonna just say that I really like your little quote right there. If you have your health, you have all your dreams. But if you don't have your health, your only dream is to get good health. And I think that's worth writing down because that is absolutely the truth. So as we see some of our loved ones or friends who have experienced unfortunate health issues and stuff, like my neighbor with a stroke, they have their life ahead of them, and 3 beautiful homes and beautiful resort areas and all that kind of stuff. But the only thing that they can do right now is try to get her back. And I don't know. It's just, we need to value that health, boy, so much. And obviously some health issues, they can't be changed. It's going to happen. But if we can protect it, then we need to do our best to do that. And so I like that. I like that quote. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
That reminds me of, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Carol. Go for it.
I was going to say that reminds me of the quote that Hank always says is the most expensive bed that you'll sleep in is a hospital bed. And these are all reminders. I had one the other day that I've been reading and rereading to myself because it's so health point. And that is life is built forward, but it's understood backwards. And so as you're building your life forward, you can't necessarily always see the long-term benefits. But when you look backward, you say, oh my, I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I did this. Or I wish I had done this. If I knew I was going to live as long as I would, I'd have taken better care of my body. I mean, how many times do people hear that? So those little quotes, just like what you said, Eric, and all of you, they're so good because they're just little one-liners that kind of center you. We have to constantly be recentering ourselves as to why we're so passionate about what we're doing and what we're doing not only for ourselves, but what we're paying forward to other people.
Absolutely, Carol. Carol, could you uh, repeat that? You said it was your life is
Life,
lived.
life is lived forward, but it's understood backwards.
Yep, yep. Life is lived forward, but it's understood backwards. Yep, yep, yep. Reflecting back on it. Um, yeah, great stuff. Yeah. And Pam, sorry to hear about your neighbors. I assume they're friends, along with neighbors. So that's always a difficult situation when a friend or a family or loved one, suffers like that. But it sounds like, I mean, with three other homes or whatever it is that they have, they clearly are ambitious and doing many things amazing in life. And yet, maybe not, there was something that was within their control. Like you say, there's things that we can't control, and that's a whole nother discussion about things in life that we can't control and how to be accepting of that and live life in that. But for the things that we can control, and particularly now where things are advancing, our understandings are advancing so much, and certainly with things like nutrition and just the work of Neutralite alone, you can also bank on that. Even if we don't understand it yet, how many times has Neutralite looked at certain things that are discovered, say now in 2025 or in 1997 or something like that, and then they look into the XX formulation and find that it was all there all along. We just didn't know it because we had not advanced in our understanding of the science. But of course, nature has that all figured out. Nature has a beautiful, um, you know, equation to things. And so even if we don't, because there's things that we think we're so smart now in 2025, ooh, we have this new breakthrough in this understanding in genetics and DNA and great. Yeah, until 2030, until 2035. And then we look back on 2025 and it's like we're living in the Stone Ages in terms of our understanding. But my guess is that in 5 years from now and 10 years from now, with the new discoveries in science, we're going to look back on the things of nature and find it all there once again, all in our products, which are nature and plant-based, the best of science, the best of nature, right? So
We were exposed to Nutrilite in 1972. And don't quote me on the exact year, but I thought it was right around that time when vitamin E was formulated. It was actually scientifically discovered. And when they went back in XX, it was always there. So
yeah,
those that were taking XX always were taking vitamin E, even before it was discovered.
right. Yeah, and so we can, and that's the power of being associated with just such a trusted brand, especially these days. Fortunately, more and more people, I rarely run into somebody that poo-poo supplementation. That's something really of the past. I mean, if somebody poo-poos supplementation now, you know, I need to let them crawl back under their rock that they came from because that's where they've been living because it just doesn't happen, fortunately. And that's great in terms of working with clients. What we do run into, though, is somebody that's taking supplementation. And of course, they didn't know. So they're taking it, they're making their best decisions from whatever choice that and source that they're purchasing it from. Sometimes that's something from Amazon or something like that, and that may or may not be very good. But again, coming back to the power of Neutralite, 1934, 90 plus years of existence, and over 6,000 acres of certified organic farms, and just teams and teams of scientists and researchers. this stuff doesn't happen by accident. And so fortunately, most people, once they understand a little bit of that, they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'd rather have that brand than this stuff that I was getting from Amazon or wherever they were getting it. So
I always love to go back to that 10 questions, and I think it was from way back, and I think it might have been Gloria Askew from Canada years and years ago, but it was 10 questions instead of tearing down any product or even saying anything positive about Nutrilite in the beginning so that their barrier doesn't come up, that you're trying to sell them something. I always like to use that little 10 questions because it just asks them about their supplements and then they can give honest answers. And what it does is it brings out relevant points that they probably never even thought about. I'm sure they didn't. And then you can start talking about, that's the questions I asked myself when I was introduced to Nutrilite. And here's what I found. It's a very soft approach so that people don't want to be proven wrong. So
good point.
Yeah.
Very good. Great point. Great point. Yeah. Great reminder. I'll have to be sensitive and careful. These people are making the best decisions that they can.
Right.
If any of us, we make a considered decision, the last thing we want to hear is somebody coming in over the top, loud and proud and just, smashing our, ego or our intellect. Look, we did the best we can. Let's be sensitive to that for sure. Well, great. Anyone?
Jump in.
Dave? Yes, David. Good morning.
Bueller.
You
went a totally different direction than I thought you were going to go. And so I was expecting you to be talking about the habits that we have as adults and how it affects from generation to generation by them possibly following our behavior. And part of your Netherlands story that made me think of is my expertise is babies, birth to 3, but especially behavior problems, 2 to 3. And again, I wish I had the knowledge that I have now with being around you guys. But even back in those days, I would go to a home and the parent would be upset because they're most often the boys, but bouncing off the walls. And I'd see him, mom's drinking a Mountain Dew and the kids drinking Mountain Dew with the mom.
Thank you, God, for
eating
loving
Fruit
us
Loops.
and for this food. We praise your name.
We have some hot
dear
mics
God,
out there.
in Jesus' name.
If we can, we've got a hot mic. Let me do some muting here. So go ahead, David.
So one of the reasons I'm really passionate as I listen to Sharon about omegas, especially for children and pregnant women. Your brain gets wired from birth to 6, and it's sort of like the bell-shaped curve. So 2 and 3 is when the construction is really rapid, going fast. And so just the importance of having the good nutrition during that time period while your brain's developing, because it will affect the rest of your life.
So it's great point. And David, yeah, like Carol was saying earlier, we often look back on things, and yes, I'm sure we would all love to have this knowledge back when, and particularly you with your area of expertise. But what we know about you is now with this expertise, you're affecting people, loved ones, young and older, all generations. You're affecting with your new knowledge.
I had many tools for helping behavior, but it was almost impossible to overcome poor diet, sugar.
Yeah. Such a great point. Such a great point. Who was it? Was it in one of our walk and talks? I'm trying to think of where this came up, where they were talking about Steve, actually, I think it was you, maybe last time we were together, last week, where something about, when you change the physical, it affects the emotion. And to your point, David, is, if you have a child, certainly a young 2-3-year-old child drinking Mountain Dew, eating candy, or an adult, that I don't know. This is, I don't know why my mind always goes to this expression of that, but this is the way I often convey it to people that I'm working with. I guess because it's just very blunt, and that is when we talk about like sugar and so forth, it seems like, okay, yeah, whatever. But if you talk about something more potent that you consume, and what I hit on is alcohol and how it affects your behavior, okay? And whether anybody's ever been stopped for drunk driving or did drunk driving or not, if they have an officer that takes them and says, walk this straight line, if they've been consuming alcohol, they physically can't walk that straight line. That's why they do that test. So to take someone now let's just substitute alcohol or drugs or something like that, where you literally cannot control your body. And let's instead say sugar, processed foods, and say on that spectrum, you also will have difficulty with your physicality, with your emotions. Steve, I think that's what you commented on. So just like trying to ask someone that is being tested for a DUI to have control of their emotions, I mean, we could have some fun with this, right? Somebody that's drunk, they're laughing and having fun with the officer. They're in trouble, but their emotions are leaving them. Or if they're kind of a Cheech and Chong moment with some marijuana, right? Okay, they're not in control of their emotions. So how can we expect an adult or a child to have control of their emotions, full control of their emotions, when they've just been downing sugar, Mountain Dews, etc.? So welcome to the new people coming in. Welcome everyone. Again, you don't have to be super on time here. Just watch your microphones. If you are live mic, just watch your microphones as other people are talking, but welcome everyone here. Well, we are clicking along on the time. Holy cow here. So Carol, or Carol, did you want David Munoz to go first?
Yeah, let
Okay.
David go first. I'm interested.
All right. So David, if you are available, we'd love to hear about the protein that's bad for you.
Hello, everybody. Well, we're doing a lot of quotes today, and Pam, I have one for you. You're talking about we can't control everything in our life, for our health. But here's one for you. May the odds be ever in your favor. So put it all in your favor and keep the healthy life going. And actually, this kind of talk that you guys had, Eric, this morning, it goes alongside of this, what we're talking about, different companies and what they're promising and such like that. So here's one that's a little bit of a shocker. It was a shocker to me, but Consumer Reports, everybody knows who did that. So you can look this up. It's an article through them. It says protein powders and shakes containing high levels of lead. Protein supplements are widely popular, but CR's test of 23 products found that more than 2/3 of them containing more lead in a single serving than our experts say is safe to have in a day. So much has changed since Consumer Reports first tested protein powders and shakes. Over the past 15 years, Americans' obsession with protein has transformed what has been a niche product into the centerpiece of a multi-billion-dollar wellness craze, driving booming supplement sales and spawning new crops of protein-fortified foods and now saturated supermarket shelves and social media foods. I'm not sure what supermarkets they're going to, but that's what they said here. Yet for all the industry growth and rebranding, one thing hasn't changed. Protein powders still carry troublesome levels of toxic heavy metals, according to new Consumer Reports investigation. Our latest test of 23 protein powders and ready-to-drink shakes from popular farm brands found that heavy metal contaminants have been even more common among protein products, raising concerns that the risks are growing right alongside the industry itself. More than 2/3 of the products we analyze in a single serving contains more lead than CR food safely experts say is safe to consume in a day, some by more than 10 times. No, it goes on, but we were talking about, people's knowledge and people not knowing, when they try to go and sometimes they go with, oh, I know I have to have protein shake. What's on sale today? Sometimes those are not your best, you're obviously doing it and they don't know to try to get healthy. And then in the end, it actually could be worse for them. So just wanted you to know that there are differences even within brands themselves.
Wow. I knew that by your docket item title, that was going to be something directionally like this, David, but that is super huge docket item because protein powders are wonderful, right? We love protein powders, but a lot of people, I mean, use protein powders. It's when I mentioned earlier about it's very rare, I joked, they have to be living under a rock if they don't if they don't think supplementation is key. I'm sure many of you have heard this, that to get the grams per pounds ratio, the ideal amount of protein daily, many people rely on protein powders because you can get 20 to 25 grams per serving on most protein powders, certainly ours. So lots of people are using protein powders, say, compared to lots of people taking vitamin D or vitamin or calcium or something like that. But
And
I'm just looking to go ahead.
I
Yeah.
was just going to say, Eric, and you know who takes that a lot? And that is the people who are ill, people who are struggling with some kind of disease or something, and the elderly who can't get enough food in. It's not good. They have to have soft or liquid. And that worries me when I think of the people who are drinking a whole lot of protein shakes to hear, and I was curious, David, if in that article, did it mention name brands? I don't need them mentioned here, but I was just curious if the article went on and mentioned any name brands.
Well, David, you can speak to that, but I can tell you, Pam, I'm looking at it right now, and I know we're careful on everything in terms of, and we're not even naming movies here in this. I think we would be fine on that. But because this is public knowledge, this is a report that is in the public domain here. I can tell you what that says. So to just double click on what David Munoz was sharing, said the investigation tested 23 different protein powders. Okay. 15, which is 65% of the samples, contained more lead than the daily limit of 0.5 micrograms. And they do call out, they say some of the highest lead levels were found in Naked Nutrition's Naked Vegan Mass Gainer and Huel's, that's spelled Huel apostrophe S, Black Edition protein powders. So this is public, this is here in that report. And so those are two of the brand names. And Pam, great point is that amongst probably the highest users is, people, it's a go-to, right? If they're really trying to get their protein in, and then unbeknownst to them, the odds are stacked against them. To your point, or your quote earlier, may the odds always be in your favor, David. Here, their odds, 65%, 15 out of 23 are beyond the safe lead levels. And David, you were saying something else? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, they does list the different products, and it says on the bottom of it, products to avoid. So there's more than the ones that you've mentioned, but there are quite a few. So obviously, if you're going to have 65%, you're going to have them, and they do name them. There's a whole brand list of them that we're not going to go through, obviously, in time, but they do list them in here. And that was the Hunger Games, by the way.
That goes,
The quote.
Okay, okay.
So can
and
Carol
does,
send that out to us?
yeah, I will. Yes. In fact, I read that article too. And Dave, I'm so glad you picked up on that and addressed that today. And if you want to just send that article, I will shoot that out to everybody. And it goes back to what Steve, I always love Steve when you really, really push the NSF certification. Not push, when you really accentuate the fact that we have the NSF certification, because on the protein powders, we never have to worry about that because they went through NSF certification. And so though none of those things become an issue. Thank you. He just sent it to me, so I'll get that out to everybody.
You know, Eric,
Great.
the NSF, when I was out there one of the times, I asked the doc about that first Consumer Reports report that came out about protein shake, ready to drink protein shakes, because they had like 13 or 14 of those things listed. And next to it was a grid sheet. And across the top of the grid, and not in this order necessarily, but it was lead, cadmium, arsenic, and mercury. And then beside each shake, it gave the numbers of those toxins. I think I've mentioned this before, the number of those toxins in each shake. And the doc said, yeah, that report was right on the money, and none of that stuff was listed on the label. You know, that new report on the protein powders, yeah, I put great faith in what they know what they're doing. So
Mm.
we're fortunate. We've got good
Yeah.
certification on our stuff. Many of our things, not everything. Back to you.
Yeah, this is just this is giving me some increase backbone and boldness. One of the things that I run up against and is I'm hired through a particular health system to do coaching, and the challenge, and I get it, and I'm complying, is that in coaching these clients, they did not want supplementation, particularly, you know, our brand of supplementation, you know, recommended and stuff like that. Now, long story short, I'm working with them. We're working around it, but this is going to help fuel that conversation, because literally, you got to imagine the frustration for any of us. Imagine being in a position where you're working with a client and helping them with their improvement on health, and they're asking you for, what would you recommend for a protein powder, or what would you recommend? I hear omega-3s are good. You know, what would you recommend? And literally, your hands are tied at that moment, you know, per your agreement, and you respect that agreement. You know, this is what you agreed to. But imagine the frustration on my part where I can't just make the recommendation that I want to, that I know, that I feel strongly is the best for them. And again, I've got to work, I've got that kind of figured out, and we're working together on this. And they've got to be protective of themselves. The hospital system, that is, it's the leading hospital system in Michigan. So I understand their position. But I literally had a client send a screenshot of a protein powder that at first I was confused, because I kid you not, the front of this, the brand image, is a skull and crossbones. I was confused. It was like some sort of like spook. It even had like words like spooky, whatever. And I was like, what is this? I was literally like, did you send me is this an image of your protein powder, or what are you sending to me? It was. And so I did my best to look at it and you know, just give my commentary on it. But imagine now, armed with this, and thank you again, David and Steve, for this consumer's report. You know, this gives just a logical understanding with the employer to be able to go in there and say, look, 65%, according to consumer's report, are getting higher than safe levels of lead, in this crapshoot of picking their own protein powders. Okay. So, please untie my hands here and let me at least offer if they still want the skull and crossbones brand, good on them. That's fine. That's their choice. But let me also recommend another option. And that, in board certified coaching, that is the protocol. You disclose any vested interest, which I will, and you give 3 options. And I'm perfectly happy to give that second option of skull and crossbone protein powder. Let's get a third one with a nice dollop of lead. Oh my gosh, crazy. But serious stuff. We know lead, and it goes on here. Again, thank you, David. I'm looking at this, but we know about lead exposure and the consequences of that. It's it's very big on the nervous system, can damage the brain and kidneys in particular. So this is not a small matter. So thank you, David. Great docket item. Anyone else? Any other commentary on protein powders or consumer reports? Carol, I want to get to the yogurt.
Well, before I give the yogurt, I got to give a couple other things. So, okay, let me make sure here. Okay, there was a few just real quickie things that I wanted to remind people of. I'm very excited about. We have customers on this call today, and we have many people, coaches that have customers. And Amway Corporation has, we all are familiar with the buy, repeat, earn promo, which is you spend $150 2 months in a row and you get $75 off your third order. And that is really exciting. But now they've got one that will piggyback onto that. It won't cancel it out. It will piggyback onto it. And that is for the months of December and January, December or January. And if they place an order for $150 in December, then in January, they get $50 off their order. And then that can be coupled with if a customer is in the midst of a buy, earn, repeat. And then if they do it in January, then in February, they'll get $50 off their order. So they stack on top of each other. And this is very exciting because I think one of the important things, excuse me, this, of course, is all across the board. This is not just Nutrilite products, it's every product that we handle. But the benefit is in many of our products, the repeat use and consistent use is really, really important because sometimes it doesn't turn around on a dime. It takes a few months for your blood to change and what have you. And so the consistency of using, especially our nutritional products, is very important. So this will enhance a customer to do that. And that also is applicable for ditto orders. So I wanted to real quickly bring that up, and you'll be seeing that. You might even have an email already in your emails from the Amway Corporation, but customers would not know this yet. Okay, and the second thing is with all of the wonderful support, and I mean wonderful, I'm so enjoying not only our Saturday morning and Monday night, which I think are tremendously valuable because you all have so much knowledge and expertise, but to be able to also plug into the Monday morning, either 6 a.m. or 9 a.m. Walk and talks that Network 21 puts on, and then the Thursday morning, 9 o'clock, and then the Thursday evening Health Point explanation. These are really valuable, useful tools that even if your work schedule, I know some people have really weird work schedules, even if your work schedule doesn't allow you to be on physically yourself, you still can plug somebody into that. So Monday mornings is specifically introducing new people. So it's very important for new people to get on that. Thursday is very important because a person on the program tells their story, and then Thursday night the program is explained. So that comes with a bunch of different links. And so what I did was I put an email out, and you all have it in your email, and that is every link, every activity that we have has a specific repeatable link. So every week the links are the same. So what I've done is taken the email, and if you just copy and paste those links into your calendar event. So let's say Saturday morning walk and talk. Okay, take that link, put it in there in the second line, and then it's always there. So all you have to do is go to your event, and there's your link, and you just click on Zoom join. And there's no more, oh, I don't have the link, or, and also save this, save your email and have those links available to copy and paste to people that don't have, they're new, they've not been on, they don't have this information. So I did want to highlight that too, to make sure, I think we want to organize and simplify. And Eric, you're so much better at that than I am technologically, but I'm learning. Each day I'm learning. So
I think you're awesome on it. I mean, we all have times from time to time where we're confused or anything, but that email that you put together is so clean, so concise. It's like you say, you copy and paste that, or what have you. You've got it really clear for us on what those times and days are and the appropriate link for it.
good. And the other thing I would recommend is for those of you that do have that email, print it and laminate it. I'm a big laminator still to this day, because when something's hard, it's easier to grab, and it's easier to put away somewhere too. So that's also nice for your maybe less digital people. If you have to go back and find that, you've lost something, something's gone awry on your computer, you can always go back to that laminated email and go back and find that email, and then you've got your live links. Or what else I did was I stored that email, I stored all those links on, for me, notes. You can use whatever platform you want to use. Store it somewhere where you have all those live links together. Then if you have to go back and refer, you've got maybe 3 or 4 places that specifically ease for yourself, but also to be able to send to a new person, because the plan is always paying it forward. So those new people don't have that information. So those are just a few tips. And so we've got 4 minutes. Okay, I got to go through this in 4 minutes. This is all about Greek yogurt, and this is not promoting any product, unfortunately, in our business. But this is just a practical tip, because I know many of us, when we are on metabolic adaptation, or we're adding more food or whatever, we need additional protein. One of the nice things that we have is yogurt, that we can get some great probiotics, but there's a lot of very poor yogurts. In fact, 9/10 of them on the store shelves are very poor choices. So I wanted to bring a few things out to you real quickly. It says, which Greek yogurt is healthiest? Lists the benefits of grass-fed yogurt. So those are 2 things we want to touch on. A plain unflavored yogurt, Greek yogurt with no added sugar, is your healthiest option. Grass-fed yogurts offer a stronger nutritional profile, including more healthy fats and vitamins due to diet of the cows. So how do you choose the healthiest Greek yogurts? First of all, plain and unsweetened. Avoid fruit-flavored varieties, which are often loaded with added sugar and can be highly processed. Simple ingredients. The best yogurts only contain milk and live cultures. So they may include cream for a richer texture. Another one would be low to added, no sugar, low to no sugar added. Some sugar will naturally occur from milk, lactose, but the healthiest varieties have 0 or very little sugar added. And then high protein. Greek yogurt is known for its high protein content, which promotes a feeling of fullness. Look for varieties with 15 to 20 grams of protein per 6-ounce serving. Another one would be live and active cultures seal. This seal indicates products contain a significant amount of beneficial bacteria, probiotics, that are good for your gut health. And isn't gut health one of the main things that we are addressing in today's times with good metabolic health? So benefits of grass-fed yogurt. Dairy from cows that eat a grass-based diet offers several key nutritional advantages over conventional dairy. Higher concentrations of healthy fats. They have better omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. Grass-fed dairy has a healthier, more balanced ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids, which can help reduce inflammation and lower the risk of chronic diseases. They also have increased CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, and that's an omega-6 fatty acid, and it's found in higher amounts in grass-fed milk, but it's healthy. It's a linked to benefit for metabolism, heart health, and anti-inflammatory properties. So that is one good omega-6 fatty acid. It's got more vitamins and antioxidants. Grass-fed milk is richer in, and when I say grass-fed milk, there's grass-fed cheese. So, you know, and there's grass-fed eggs. So grass-fed milk is richer in fats, soluble vitamins, and antioxidants, including vitamin A, which is important for vision, immune function, and skin health. Beta carotene, and that's an antioxidant that the body converts into vitamin A. K2, crucial for bone health and blood clotting. Vitamin E, another powerful antioxidant. Environmental and animal warfare considerations. This is another thing that many people are very concerned with. Healthier cows. So a grass-based diet is more natural for cows, leading to better overall health. Improved soil health. And didn't we hear about that with Frank Tennant? Grazing cows naturally fertilize the soil, which helps it to grow healthier grass and may aid in sequestering excess carbon from the atmosphere. And the potential for more probiotics. Some research suggests that unpasteurized grass-fed yogurt may contain a higher content of diverse probiotic strains compared to conventional brands, further boosting gut health. So it's not just that you're eating yogurt, it is that it's feeding your gut with healthy stuff. So then in closing, what brands of grass-fed Greek yogurt are recommended? Okay, now I know we're not supposed to go into brands, but I'm quoting off an article that I'm going to send you. So I will be mentioning three brands. So there's several recommended brands that produce grass-fed Greek yogurt. One of them is Maple Hill Creamery. This is one that I have just recently found on the store shelves myself, and I love it. Stonyfield Organic, which I've used for years, and Wallaby Organic, and I'm not familiar with that brand. So recommended grass-fed yogurt brands, Maple Hill Creamery offers a line of 100% grass-fed organic products, including plain Greek yogurt. It's known for sourcing its milk from pasture-raised cows and avoiding grain or corn feed. The second one, Stonyfield Organic. This brand has a long history of making organic dairy products and offers 100% grass-fed plain Greek yogurt. Stonyfield's products are USDA organic and come from pasture-raised cows. Wallaby Organic, known for its mild flavor and creamy texture. Wallaby's Greek yogurt is made in small batches with organic milk from pasture-based family farms. They offer a plain whole milk Greek yogurt that is free of added sugars. And then there's a fourth one I have not heard of, Kelowna Super Natural. This brand products a cream top organic whole milk yogurt from 100% grass-fed cows. While not a Greek yogurt, it's a cultured in a traditional style with no stabilizers or thickeners and contains plenty of probiotics. And then the last one, Organic Valley, which also produces a whole line of cheeses. The grass milk line from Organic Valley includes a plain whole milk yogurt made exclusively from grass-fed cows. It's certified organic and contains naturally organic occurring omega-3s. So this is to consider when you're buying, because this is how we need a PhD when we grocery shop anymore. Check the label to ensure you're getting the full benefits of grass-fed dairy. Check the label for certifications that state 100% grass-fed. or that the product is made from pasture-raised milk. Look for plain unsweetened versions to maximize health benefits and avoid added sugars. Opt for the plain unsweetened varieties of these brands. And then it says, what's the difference between grass-fed and grass-finished? And this is my last point. So grass-fed and grass-finished is the timing and exclusivity of the animal's grass diet. While most cattle eat grass at some point in their lives, the finished is what the animal ate only grass and forage for its entire life, right up to the time of processing. So grass finished is more important than grass fed. Grass fed is a flexible term. The term grass fed on its own can be ambiguous, and in some cases it only implies that the cattle ate a grass for a portion of their lives. Often grain finished, many grass-fed cattle are moved to confined feedlots and fed a diet of grains like corn or soy during the final months of their lives to promote rapid weight gain. Less regulations. The term is not consistently regulated across the entire industry through the USDA, though the USDA does have stricter guidelines for 100% grass-fed. But so grass-fed isn't necessarily the end all. So it may be less nutritious if an animal's finished on grain. The meat or dairy product may not have the same nutritional profile as a product from an animal that was exclusively grass-fed. So grass finished, a stricter standard. The grass finished label assures consumers that the animal ate a diet exclusively of grass and forage through its entire life. It requires continuous access to pasture. Cattle must be raised on pasture or range and cannot be confined in feedlot. This is also why you will often see labels like pasture raised alongside with grass finished. Better nutritional profile due to its lifelong diet of grass and forage. Grass-finished animals typically produce meat and dairy with more CLA and omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin A and E. And so there's a third-party verification you might see on some of the things. It's AGA, American Grass-Fed Association. So the last statement is a grass-fed label may simply mean the cows ate grass for a portion of their lives. To ensure you're getting yogurt from cows that were fed a grass and forage diet their whole lives, look for labels that explicitly say grass finished or 100% grass fed and finished. For example, Maple Hill Creamery is certified to provide milk from 100% grass-fed cows. This gives you confidence that their dairy products meet the highest standard and grass-fed practices. So I know that's a lot to throw at you, and I will pull this article from wherever I got it and send it over so you can kind of use it as a guideline when you're shopping for yogurts and cheeses and even your grass-fed meat.
I love that, and I got to tell you, it's stimulating an action step on our part, on Emily and I, because I'm not hearing the brand that we purchase on there. So note to self, that is very helpful and actionable. I don't know about everybody else, that any of you that are, consuming some yogurt, maybe you found yours on the list that Carol went through. That was really, really helpful. And when I was just listening to you, Carol, I just picture those happy cows on those grassy hillsides, and, versus, you kind of have two different types of scenes, that cow that's just like in that dirty, nasty, mucky, no grass in sight. It's like they're on a parking lot and they're just industrial, but they're producing milk for some product somewhere. And then you got those happy cows, those Scottish Highlands or whatever, on these rolling green grassy hills, and they're just happy and eating their grass, and it's more natural. So it really conjures up some imagery for me. Anybody else have any thoughts, comments, takeaways from Carol's amazing points? Thank you also for the other on, I'm thinking at a certain point, all my customers are going to get paid on a monthly basis to consume their products, because between the $75 kickback that they get. By the way, that's automatic. I have clients that are like, they're on ditto delivery, and then, it's 200 a month, 200 a month, or whatever their ditto is. And then all of a sudden it's 125. And they're like, what's that for? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's your $75 that you got back. And they're like, okay, cool. And now, as I understand it, they're going to get another $50. So at some point, I think the corporation is just going to just, airlift a bag of money to them and just say, use our products, and here's a bunch of money too. I don't know. It's getting pretty interesting there. So thank you for that. And then also on the organization of all those links, there's basically 5 opportunities that we have to plug in, and keeping them organized for ourselves and sharing it with others is really great. So any other thoughts? Anybody else any unmuting if you are muted?
Hey,
If
it's Laurel.
not- Hey,
It's-
Laurel.
Just real quick, I don't want to be off the topic, but I did want all of us to wish Hank and Carol a happy anniversary this weekend.
Woo! What? Happy anniversary.
Yeah, 62
Thank you.
years.
Awesome. So great.
And we
So
want to also wish Dave
Happy anniversary, you
Munoz.
guys. You are great.
Thank
yes, you
you.
are.
We also want to wish a happy birthday to Dave Munoz and Jerry Webb, who share the same birthday as our anniversary, and they're all tomorrow, the 26th.
Oh my gosh. Got all kinds of fun end of October
So
stuff
I'm
going
sorry
on.
if I'm overlooking anybody. Those are the 3 that I knew.
Yeah. Well, happy everything to everyone, I guess. We'll say.
Right, yeah.
Okay, for everyone. Gosh, this is our last walk and talk for October. Again, this will be uploaded to Voices of Health Point. When you're on there, I'm just looking at this real quick. I'm just going to spend a quick second. This is going to be episode 113. Can you believe that? Holy
Wow.
cow. But looking at, for those that didn't catch previous episodes live, episode 112, which is last week's, You Can't Outrun the Fork. Remember that topic? Episode 111, Deficiencies versus Insufficiencies. If you, the one before that, the impact of water on weight loss. Then the episode before that, we did NRF2, the body's master controller. Then we did episode 108, LDL cholesterol, beyond the headlines. Then episode 107, expensive urine. Episode 106, visceral fat and why it matters. And episode 105, and I'll end with that, grapefruit, plateaus, and cortisols. It's just kind of a march back in memory here on some of the episodes that we all participated in. So guys, we've done it again. This has been so fun, but we'll bring this to a wrap, and we'll plan on next week, Saturday. I think we don't have nothing going on, so we'll plan on next Saturday, same time, same place. Till then, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Adios.